Well, what do we make of the Arizona Cardinals? If you had asked me a few weeks ago who would be going to the playoffs, either the Cardinals or the Bears, I would have said the Cardinals for sure. But a point I saw made over and over and over again about this game was which team looked like they were fighting for their playoff lives and which team looked like they'd already been eliminated. Because the Cardinals came into this game completely flat. I mean, they were completely asleep at the wheel, and they never, ever really woke up. What do we make of them? Maybe their record bears some closer examination. They've won 8 games so far, which is nothing to sneeze at. But you think about the fact that one of those games came on a Hail Mary. Another one, week 1, we talked about already on this channel against the 49ers, where Garoppolo and Kendrick Bourne just missed connecting in the end zone at the very end of that game. Those two scores are flipped around. Arizona only has 6 wins so far this year. It's just an interesting sort of thought experiment, but really, again, makes you just wonder what to make of them. Well, let's get in this game and find out what happened. At the top of the screen, you're seeing Christian Kirk going against Akella Witherspoon. And it's a big completion to Christian Kirk, even though Witherspoon had pretty darn good position. Let's see if this angle reveals anything about what happened. Now again, Witherspoon is in good position, but watch here as he reaches up to make a play on the ball with his outside hand. This is a little unusual. That was very awkward, wasn't it? Gives up the completion. Why did he do that? Let's go back and see if we can take an even closer look. This time I want you to notice the hand of Christian Kirk. You see it fully extended against Akella Witherspoon. That should be offensive pass interference. Now I know they don't always call it. Sometimes the officials decide to let them play, and this was definitely a game where they did that. But usually this is when you do see the call, when you have the full extension of the arm. Witherspoon had no choice but to reach up with his offhand, and that's why Kirk made the catch. All right, it's third and essentially goal here, so this is when you got to bring it. Third down, it's the money down. And it looks like Christian Kirk is coming wide open to the back of the end zone. But I want you to watch very carefully. Watch his head. He turns his head and he looks and he sees Tarvarius Moore lurking, ready to make the hit. And Kirk kind of shortens up his route a little bit. And you know what they say, you're going to get hit anyway, so you might as well go up and catch that ball. Moore is a guy who's looked pretty raw for basically his entire career with San Francisco, and we've criticized him somewhat on this channel. But here he lays a big hit on Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk a non-factor for the rest of the game. Legal hit, shoulder to chest, so the Cardinals are forced to settle for a field goal here. They take a 3-0 lead, so let's move to later in the first quarter. Here, Brandon Ayuk wants to run an out. But here, Byron Murphy sets up to take the outside away from Brandon Ayuk. Now, he can't go to the inside. We see right away, of course, this is impossible. Budda Baker is sitting there waiting for him. So Brandon Ayuk continues with his route. He actually runs through Byron Murphy, but instead of running directly to the sideline, he cuts back towards the first down marker. He's got the room to do that, and he does this to make sure he gets enough separation. You know, John Madden used to say that some wide receivers just understand separation, and I think Brandon Ayuk is definitely one of those receivers. We also see some nice offensive line play from Mike McGlinchey here. Watch his kick step at the snap. That's pretty good. Now take a look at his handwork. He does a nice job with his hands, making sure he doesn't hold, and then at the very end there, redirects him into School, who's waiting for him. And that, to me, is something that maybe has been missing from this offensive line And it's something we've talked about on this channel, but maybe have gotten away from a little bit, which is in order to have successful offensive line play, you need good chemistry. And that was excellent chemistry with the offensive line there. Here the 49ers fake the run to Jeff Wilson Jr. Brandon Ayuk takes Patrick Peterson deep. And right away we notice suddenly there's a lot of space over here on this side of the field. And in a play we've seen before, we notice George Kittle sneaking out, and we know how dangerous he can be in that space with the ball in his hands. The most natural move here would be to continue to the outside, but it looks like the Arizona defenders might have an angle on him. He would like to cut this back to the inside, but this is a bit unrealistic because the momentum of the big tight end is still carrying him to the outside. But here's when we remember that George Kittle isn't just an ordinary tight end. Instantly, we see what a huge difference having him on the field makes for the 49ers. That's a bad man right there. Okay, 3rd and 1. Now we see Kyle Juszczyk, who played quarterback in high school, go under center. And if you take a look at the formation, this isn't that wild at all. CJ Beathard is lined up behind him, almost like a running back, with another running back off to his left. Kyle Juszczyk simply runs the quarterback sneak. He's a man of many talents. Here, Jeff Wilson Jr. gives his man just a little bit of a move to the outside, and when the defender reacts, he cuts back to the inside. He's so good at running that route, and we actually took a look at it last year when they played the Cardinals. Jeff Wilson Jr. really starting to make a name for himself in fantasy circles, but still possibly underrated. So the Niners take a 7-3 lead, and here they take advantage of Jeff Wilson Jr.'s skills by faking him the ball. And the goal on this play is to get the defensive end to crash to the inside. The fullback, which is actually tight end Ross Dwelly here, will then act as a blocker downfield for CJ Beathard, who's going to keep the ball. Now Dwelly actually misses the block here, otherwise CJ Beathard could have gone for even more yardage. As it was, he gained 17 yards on the play. So Arizona's clearly fooled by the play, and like I said, the play gained 17 yards and it was a success, and maybe that's all there was to it. But you do sort of wonder, we haven't really seen this quarterback keeper from Shanahan before. Why did he call it here? Maybe thinking about Zach Wilson? I don't want to start any rumors. Let's move on to the next play. Arizona gets the ball back, and they're on their own 14-yard line. Watch here as Kerry Hyder Jr. beats his man and then has a clear shot at Kyler Murray. Oh, and he just misses him. Kyler Murray is so elusive. Sometimes it's just something you have to live with, right? Now this is the very next play. Let's watch Hyder again. He gets past his man again, and this time he wraps him up and brings Murray down for the sack. Kerry Hyder Jr., 8.5 sacks on the year. If he gets a half sack against Seattle, he'll have the same number of sacks that Nick Bosa had last year. If he gets a sack and a half, He'll have double-digit sacks for the 49ers, and he has quickly turned into one of the guys that the 49ers have to re-sign. All right, it's 4th and 1, and Arizona has decided to go for it, but this is extremely risky because look where they are on the field. Their own 34-yard line. If they don't pick this up, San Francisco is already in field goal range. Now they do pick it up, but just file that away for later because there is a reason I brought that up. All right, we're towards the end of the second quarter now, and here Arizona is facing another big third down and 8. Notice Jason Verrett playing press coverage against DeAndre Hopkins at the top of the screen. If you remember back to earlier this year, we did a video where DK Metcalf beat press coverage on a deep route down the field, and that's the risk you take when you play press, is that if your man gets by you, he might be gone. And that's exactly what Hopkins tries to do here. But Verrett sticks right on him all the way down the field. And he breaks up the pass, taking on DeAndre Hopkins and preventing the touchdown. What a great play. Let's go back to the snap. Now Verrett times this perfectly, and DeAndre Hopkins is so talented. Look at Larry Fitzgerald. He's used to seeing this and it just being a touchdown. But watch Verrett's hands. He plays through the hands of DeAndre Hopkins and breaks up the pass, and Fitzgerald can't believe it. Jason Verrett, looking like he's going to be one of the guys getting a big payday from the 49ers. So Arizona's forced to settle for a field goal. Things seem to be going well for the 49ers. You may be wondering, why wasn't C.J. Beathard starting all along? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Nick Mullins is just a better quarterback. Now hang on a second. Did he just say that Nick Mullins was a better quarterback than C.J. Beathard? Yes, I did say that. How can you say that? Nick Mullins has been a turnover machine. How can you possibly say that? Well, I'll tell you why. Nick Mullins has done a little bit better of a job at running the offense. He processes things just a little bit quicker, and that can make a big difference. And it's true, he has been a turnover machine. But it wouldn't quite be accurate to say that C.J. Beathard hasn't turned the football over or made some risky plays of his own. Now, I don't want to dog C.J. Beathard. He just had a fantastic game. But to be fair, we're going to take a look at everything, the good and the bad. So as you can see, there's 17 seconds left in the half, and the ball's on the 48-yard line. The 49ers would like to get some points here. Jerick McKinnon runs an out, but instead of throwing the ball to where he's going to be, Nick Mullins throws the ball to where he is. This should be an easy interception for Jordan Hicks. And he drops it. Just can't quite get there. San Francisco very lucky because this should have been a pick six. Oof, that was a bad throw. 14 seconds left. Very next play. And C.J. Beathard fumbles the football, and it's recovered by Arizona. Ouch. Let's go back to the snap. Now, earlier we took a look at a play where Mike McGlinchey did a pretty good job. But here we're going to take a look at him get beat pretty badly. Now, here you see Simmons kick the ball. That's an illegal play. You're only allowed to kick the ball in certain situations, like punting and field goals, for example. Simmons is a rookie, and it's possible he didn't know that. Now, that should have been a penalty. It wasn't called, and even though every turnover is automatically reviewed, that aspect of the play, for some reason, was not examined, and it's unclear why. In any event, the Cardinals take over, but fortunately for the 49ers, there was so little time left on the clock, the turnover didn't cost them anything at all. Okay, let's move on to the third quarter. We're just underway, and the Niners still lead it 7-6. Now here the 49ers fake it to Jeff Wilson Jr. again, and C.J. Beathard will pull the ball back and take off. But the Cardinals have a brilliant young linebacker, Hassan Reddick, who recognizes the play. Reddick was taken in the first round of the 2017 draft. He has 20 sacks and 9 forced fumbles, and he's ready to meet the quarterback in the backfield. But the 49ers do hand it to Jeff Wilson Jr., and he is off to the races. Wow, what a start to the third quarter. Now we already know the play. C.J. Beathard fakes like he has the ball, draws in the defensive end Reddick, and Jeff Wilson Jr. takes off. But there's another key element to this play that makes it work, and that is Trent Williams. Good stuff. Now this time the 49ers toss it to Tevin Coleman, but the defense knows that C.J. Beathard isn't going to carry the ball. They know he's not going to fake it again, so this time they're ready. But Coleman hands it to Brandon Ayuk on the reverse, and C.J. Beathard is out in front blocking for him. First down, San Francisco. Now I happen to think he could have gotten possibly even more yardage on this play. Let's go back. Now C.J. Beathard, after he tosses to Coleman, acts real casual, and I think he acts a little too casual here. He almost comes to a complete stop. What he should have done instead is take off, because he's much slower than Ayuk, and you notice Ayuk had to slow down and wait for C.J. If C.J. takes off, this play might gain more yardage. Now I'm nitpicking here, but the truth is Arizona is completely on their heels because Kyle Shanahan is a step ahead. In fact, watch how the motion of George Kittle helps to sell the run fake. Very next play, we're looking at back-to-back-to-back plays here to open the third quarter. The 49ers continue with another run to Tevin Coleman. But the Cardinals know that C.J. Beathard isn't going to carry the ball, he isn't going to fake it, and the 49ers aren't going to run a reverse again. So this time, instead of their ordinary four-man rush, they're also going to blitz 2 other defenders as well. And check out the linebackers all running over to meet the run. This time they're ready. But they forgot about George Kittle. He's just going to sneak across again. And remember, this corner isn't really there. River Craycraft takes him deep, and he has to honor that. And this kind of brings up an interesting little side note about River Craycraft, which is when the 49ers pick up these players to fill in for injured teammates, they don't just pick up a body to, hang around and not do anything. They incorporate them into the offense and on the defensive side of the ball as well, as we'll see later with Jordan Willis. But the thing to watch on this play are the linebackers. Notice they just take 1 or 2 steps over, and watch how hard it is for them to change direction and pursue George Kittle. This sequence of plays, which I've just shown you, is an excellent illustration of not only Kyle Shanahan as a play designer, but why he's so good as a play caller. Talk about seizing control of the second half. The 49ers march right down the field into field goal range. And the field goal is no good. Robbie Gould missed it. Sometimes that's how it goes. Cardinals take over, and they start off with a run. But the 49ers send Fred Warner and K'Wan Williams on a blitz, and they do an excellent job of filling up those running lanes, giving the running back nowhere to go. Second down and 11. Now here, watch K'Wan Williams. He's going to come on another blitz, but he makes the mistake of telegraphing it before the snap of the football. And sometimes it's really hard to time that up. But Arizona should have seen this blitz coming. But Murray doesn't see it coming at all, and he's hammered. Now you may have noticed Fred Warner also came on a blitz. It's the same defensive play call 2 plays in a row. And, like Williams, he also telegraphed it a little bit early. And when he did, Kyler Murray looked right at him. It's possible that Murray was distracted by Fred Warner and never saw K'Wan Williams. Now it's 3rd down and 18. At the start of the play, notice the space that Jason Verrett is giving to DeAndre Hopkins. Verrett can afford to do that because the Cardinals have to go so far to get to the 1st down. And Kyler Murray sees this and decides that he's going there with the football right away. This is as much space as Hopkins has gotten all game long, and you want to get the ball into the hands of your playmakers. Now, Jason Verrett does an excellent job of reacting quickly and running up to make the tackle, but the real special thing to watch on this play is the hustle of Jordan Willis. He helps make the tackle, and Hopkins is brought down for a loss. That is awesome. Remember, Willis was brought over from the Jets in what was almost thought of as kind of a desperate move to help shore up the defensive end position. And Willis had been inactive with the Jets, and the Niners gave up a 6th-round pick for him. And you know, what you heard at the time was, well, maybe they're not using him correctly. And you hear about that about a player, and you hope that the new team can, find a better way to use him. Does it work out like that? You know what? It usually doesn't. But in San Francisco, it has, because Jordan Willis is committed to putting in the work, and the 49ers are committed to Jordan Willis. Now, the 49ers obviously get the ball back, but it's really so much more than that. I want you to think about the sequence of plays you've just seen. The Niners get the ball in the 3rd quarter. They drive right down the field. They have a short field goal, and they miss. That was an opportunity for Arizona. And instead, the 49er defense just smothered them. They went from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 11, 3rd down and 18 to 4th down and 21, and having to punt the ball back to San Francisco. Let's see how the 49ers attack. And specifically, let's watch how Kyle Juszczyk attacks on this play. He almost didn't get there, but Kyle Juszczyk very well could be the best fullback in the league. Now, the Arizona defense has been reeling for some time, and here we see a lot of confusion before the snap. Here, George Kittle makes just a little bit of a move to the outside. When his man reacts, he goes right up the field. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, what about that safety there? Notice C.J. Beathard holding him with his eyes. It looks like this play is designed for Jeff Wilson Jr., with Kyle Juszczyk and others acting as blockers to lead the way. But it looks like Devondre Campbell might have the sideline-to-sideline speed to get there and make the play. So the 49ers actually let the Cardinals overrun this play a little bit on purpose so that they can pass to Kyle Juszczyk. And notice how this little delay holds Campbell just enough. Juice is having a terrific season, and that is his 5th touchdown on the year. This puts the 49ers up 14-6, and the Cardinals are trying to get something going. And here they find the tight end, Dan Arnold, and he fumbles the football, and it's recovered by the 49ers. Wow. Watch Pro Bowl linebacker Fred Warner come over and punch this ball out. And then he makes the recovery. Outstanding. Now, Kyle Shanahan had a tremendous game, and really this is probably at least the 3rd game in a row. He's just done a phenomenal job, and the team is obviously very well coached, and the players are well coached. And I don't like to nitpick individual play calls, but I do happen to disagree with this one. The 49ers have just scored. The Cardinals immediately fumble, and here you've got to go for the kill. Instead, the 49ers decide to try another sweep. The thing about these tosses to the outside is it's a play where it has the potential to get stopped for a loss, and that can be very disruptive. And that's exactly what happens here when the center gets blown up. Now, hear my heart here, guys. Kyle Shanahan in this game scores a 99 out of 100. This whole game was just excellent coaching. I just happen to disagree with this one call. To make matters worse, the 49ers could not recover any of that yardage, and now they're faced with a 4th down and 13. And this is a really bad spot on the field to have a 4th down because you're too far away for your field goal, but too close to punt. They're at the 39-yard line. A lot of times what teams like to do here, if they're facing, say, a 4th down and 5, is they'll just go for it. Because even if they don't make it, they don't lose that much field position. The problem for the 49ers is it's 4th down and 13. They've got a long ways to go. So they sort of have no choice but to punt. And that's what they decide to do here. Now, the main thing is you just don't want to kick it into the end zone, because if you kick it in the end zone, the other team gets the ball at the 20-yard line. So you just want to make sure you can down the ball in between those two lines somewhere. And that's exactly what the Niners do. Well executed. Now, make no mistake, that was a big missed opportunity for the 49ers offense. Let's see how the defense responds. Now, this is interesting here. The pass is complete to Hopkins, but check out Daniels run over and make the hit. The whistle hadn't blown yet, or it had just barely started to blow right when he got there. The play's still going, and the official did not like that. He throws the flag. That's going to be a 15-yard unnecessary roughness for hitting the pile. But if I'm the 49ers, I'll take that penalty all day. I like that. I think he's playing hard. He's playing until he hears the whistle blow. That's what I want from my players. I want to see more of that. But let's check out the other angle. It almost looks like a bang-bang play, but the Cardinals players clearly did not like that, so maybe I'm wrong. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Now, one thing is they did gain a lot of yardage with the play and the penalty, and Arizona did go on a long drive, and here they punch it in for a touchdown. That makes the score 14-12, and the Cardinals are right back in this thing, and they're going for 2. Once again, we see excellent coverage from Jason Verrett. Here he's playing an inside technique. Murray has to throw the ball away from him, and it's just out of the reach of DeAndre Hopkins. So the score remains 14-12. But remember, the Cardinals have just scored after the 49ers kind of missed an opportunity. They would really like to seize this momentum back somehow. They're facing a 3rd and 8. And they almost get there. They're just barely short. Look at that. It's 4th and 1, and the temptation is really strong to go for it. They're at the 29-yard line. And Arizona had been aggressive all day. It would kind of match what they're doing. But we talked about the fact that it's a huge risk when you're that far in your own end of the field. And even though emotionally we might want to go for it, now we can stop, take a minute and think. Kyle Shanahan says, no, we have the lead. There's no reason for us to get sucked in to your attempt to make this game wild when you're the one that is behind. And to me, it really reminds me of when you're sitting at the poker table and there's that guy that always likes to go all in every hand. And every frickin' time you're the big blind, he goes all in. And at some point you want to take a stand. You want to match him. But the second you do that, you lose all your chips, right? Shanahan knows that if he plays smart, the Cardinals are going to be too aggressive one too many times, and the Niners are going to bust him. And here, exactly 4 plays later, he is proven correct. It's 4th and 2, and look where the ball is, the 35-yard line. If Arizona doesn't pick this up, San Francisco is already in field goal range. The 49ers rush their 3 down linemen and Azeez Al-Shiar. Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner are going to drop into coverage. Also notice the safety right there. They're going to try to take away the middle of the field from Arizona. If we look up top, we see that Jason Verrett is given a little bit, just a little bit more space to DeAndre Hopkins this time. Because with the safety so far forward, he knows that if he plays press coverage now, there really is a risk for Hopkins to burn him deep, and he can't let that happen. What it does do is allow Hopkins a path to the inside where he could try to pick up the first down. But you got to be smart. You don't want to get burned for a touchdown if you can give up the first down instead. But fortunately for the 49ers, when Fred Warner drops into coverage, he now has the range to make a play on this ball. He knocks it down, and now Arizona is in big trouble. They went for it, and finally, it cost them. On the very next play, San Francisco would deliver a crushing blow. Once again, look at the starting field position for San Francisco. Jeff Wilson Jr. finds a big hole, and it looks like the safety might be in position to make the tackle, but he misses. Now Wilson has his left foot down in bounds, and his right foot hits the inside of the pylon, and that's almost a touchdown. If the ball had been in his right hand, he would have scored. Unfortunately, the ball's in his left hand. The pylon is out of bounds, and with the ball in his left hand, that means he's out of bounds short of the goal line. The goal line used to go all the way around the world, but they changed that rule a few years back. Let's go back to the snap. We notice immediately it looks like C.J. Beathard has turned the wrong way. We know that this play is going to the left, and yet here we see him turn to his right. Is this a mistake? No. The entire 49er offensive line is moving to their right, and the defensive line of the Arizona Cardinals follows them. This is by design. Kyle Juszczyk and the tight end Ross Dwelley go to their left, and the linebackers for Arizona will follow them. A lot of holes going to open up in that defense, and watch Trent Williams make the key block. Now, why did the safety miss the tackle? Watch the suddenness of Jeff Wilson Jr. here. So close to being a touchdown. That's okay. It gives the 49ers 1st and goal at the 1. And they get ready to punch it in. They fake the ball to Jeff Wilson Jr. here. I was a little surprised to see this. I thought they might reward him after that long run, but maybe Arizona was thinking the same thing, and they leave Kyle Juszczyk wide open for a pass. This is Spider 2 Y Banana. Kyle Juszczyk scores his 6th touchdown of the year. He's a man the 49ers definitely need to re-sign. He will be expensive, and he will be worth it. And clearly the team is interested in keeping him happy. The extra point will seal this game. And it's no good. He missed the extra point. What does that mean? It means the score remains 20-12 instead of 21-12, which would be 9 points in 2 possessions. Now it's only an 8-point lead. That's a 1-possession ball game. This game is not over. Now here you can see the Cardinals have the ball, and it's 4th down and 1, and they're going to go for it. And this is the correct decision. But wait a second, Josh. You said before that they went for it and it burned them. There's some key differences here. For one thing, look where they are on the field. San Francisco's territory, the 43-yard line. Now if they go for it and don't get it, the 49ers aren't in a position to immediately deliver a crippling blow. Another thing is there's only 6 minutes in the game left, and they're still down 8 points. They're going to need as many possessions as possible to try to make up that deficit. So here I think it's actually a good decision to go for it. At the start of the play, Ahkello Witherspoon is in the right position. But when Murray fakes the handoff to the running back, he can't resist crashing into that line trying to make a play. And Murray is able to bootleg out of there and run free. Now I want to be clear, even if Ahkello Witherspoon had remained where he was, I don't know if he would have been able to tackle Kyler Murray. Murray is explosive and athletic. Maybe he would have. It's tough to say. But one thing I do know is there is a reason Cliff Kingsbury put the ball in Kyler Murray's hands in this critical situation. But Ahkello Witherspoon has been a completely different player these last few games. And here he makes another terrific play that makes you completely forget all about the previous one. Notice his hands are on the wide receiver. He's not interfering with him. He's just feeling where his position is, kind of like in basketball. We talked about how Richard Sherman does this in an earlier video. And he noticed earlier in the game that Kyler Murray was kind of floating his balls up a little bit, so he's watching for this ball. This is an in-game adjustment by Ahkello Witherspoon, who makes a huge, back-breaking interception. Tremendous play from Ahkello. Tremendous. The Cardinals would get one last gasp at the very end of the game, 4th and 7 with 20 seconds to go. At the top of the screen, we notice the stem of DeAndre Hopkins' route looks like he's going deep. The idea is he wants to force Jason Verrett to defend that so that he can turn around and catch a pass. But Jason Verrett isn't having any of it. He never turns his hips. Take a look. Now he's in an excellent position to break on the ball. Game-winning pass defense by Jason Verrett. One more thing. We spend a lot of time obsessing over the 49ers offensive line play, but here Arizona allows Verrett a free shot at Kyler Murray. Boom! It's a vicious hit, and Murray is hurt. Time for the Richie James backflip. Let's go back to the snap. You guys didn't think we weren't going to do some analysis on this, did you? Now, he's back there for a reason. Just in case something goes haywire with the last snap of the game and Arizona somehow winds up with the ball and is running to the end zone, he's the last man standing. He's the last line of defense. And this has actually happened in a game. You can look up the miracle at the Meadowlands and see it. So this is why teams put a man back in that situation. And what I love about this is he checks with the referee first to make sure the play is over before doing the backflip. He makes sure he's doing his job all the way through to the very end. That is quality. Terrific game. Just a terrific game overall. I know the offense did struggle at times. I think under the circumstances and We all know what the circumstances are. They played pretty good. Defensively, just a light out performance. I think it's super obvious at this point that Robert Saleh is going to be coaching somewhere else next year. And I think most 49er fans are thrilled for him. He's earned it for sure. Robbie Gould definitely struggled in this game. There was another missed field goal at the very end that I didn't get a chance to show you. So he missed 2 field goals and an extra point. The Niners should have had 27 points in this game. And what's interesting about this is 2 days later, the 49ers gave him an extension, right? $5 million a year, including this year's money, fully guaranteed for 2 more years. Now, why would they do that? The reason is even the best kickers have a bad game once in a while. Kicking is somewhat of an unpredictable art, especially long field goals. So it's to be expected. Robbie Gould has performed very well, reliably, clutch over a long period of time. It's going to be really hard to find somebody that can perform at his level just sitting there on the street. If they could, they wouldn't be on the street, obviously. So it makes sense to sign the extension. I wouldn't worry at all about those missed kicks. Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams were both injured in this game, and neither one are going to be available for the Seahawks game next week. This could potentially be a big problem. We know how valuable Trent Williams is on that offensive line. And without Brandon Ayuk, who are our wide receivers? We don't have Deebo Samuel either. So it's going to be Kendrick Bourne, Richie James. This could be a tough game for San Francisco next week. I want to thank all my new subscribers. You guys have just been so great. This has been a tough year for the 49ers, and I just really want to thank everybody who is here and supporting the channel. Really, just from my heart, thank you so much. It takes a long time to make a video like this. If you could give me just 10 seconds and click that like button, I would really appreciate it. If you're new here and you like what you see, hit subscribe. We analyze every game, and including next week against the Seattle Seahawks. The Niners have had a lot of recent success against Seattle, right? The end of 2018, they beat them. 2019, they lost the first game, but only because their rookie backup kicker missed a field goal in overtime. Then they won the second game. This year, the 49ers struggled in Seattle with a lot of injuries, we already know. But there's nothing to say that they won't be competitive in this game, even shorthanded. You know, Kyle Shanahan just somehow finds a way to get this team prepared. It's amazing. So we are going to be here to break down that game. I can't wait to see it, and I will see you guys then.